Hello, everybody. Welcome to another minisode of the Lonely Sluts podcast. I'm Claire.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is round 2 of recording this because I am a whole dumbass and my mic wasn't on.
Wow, 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 wow. Claire's a dumbass.
Yeah.
But we still love her, though.
Speaking of that, that's a great segue. Do you know who else is a dumbass?
Let me guess. Is it T-shirt?
It sure is. Guess
It's
who
T-shirt!
fucking texted me? Oh my God. This boy. I feel bad for him. But, okay. I don't know what about what I had said before made him think, she probably wants to hear from me. But he texted me 2 Saturdays ago. So literally the day we recorded the last minisode, he texted me that night. His spidey senses were tingling because he was like, she said we might be done. Haha, psych. He texted me and he goes, hey, random question. So I know it's a long shot, but would you ever consider hanging out with me again? LOL. And at that point, I came very close to just throwing my phone in the trash because I was like, I can't deal with this anymore.
That's where he belongs.
Yeah.
The trash.
Trash. I really am very hesitant to say men are trash because I think that's a very generalized statement. And I know many men who I do not think are trash.
Oh, I love
but,
it.
It's getting harder and harder to defend that because, men keep acting like trash.
It's a garbage world
there are plenty
full of garbage people.
You're right. I was going to say there's plenty of women who I'm sure are acting like trash, but we need to put the trash men with the trash ladies and leave me out of it. Good Lord. Anyway, so I texted him back and I said, I think it's best that we don't. And I want to shout out to my friend Kelly because I came very, very close to writing a whole novel being like, what the fuck don't you understand? And going down this whole list of being like, here's where the first problem was back in 2017 and going through the whole timeline of my whole, but then I was like, no, that's a lot. But then he replied and he says, all right, no worries, which I think was graceful, but don't text me in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about leaving it there, but I didn't because I was like, I really need to drive this home. And I replied and I said, please stop texting me. To which he said, of course. And this time I was a smarty pants and I blocked his number. So even if he does text me, I won't get it, which is great. And I had thought about doing this before, but I usually delete the messages and think, oh shit, I never blocked his number. But this time I remembered.
Plus, it's not like for work stuff he doesn't have your email.
Yeah, I had already told him, pre this resurgence, in the winter, he was texting me and I was like, hey man, please use my email for work business. And we don't really need to email that much, but he was definitely contacting me more. This was February. He was contacting me more than you would any other person with his position.
Mm-hmm.
I don't text them about, it's fine. We can handle this between the hours of 9 to 5, and you can leave me alone. Anyway, so that's done, whether he wants it to be or not. And the thing about it is, I, don't feel good about it. If I had things the way I wanted them, I guess we would be dating. I really liked him, and I liked talking to him, and I thought he was funny, and I thought he was smart. He was I had the whole thing with him was that we had really good conversation, but then he acted like a dick and I don't want to put myself through that. And then he was like, do you want to hang out as friends? I don't want to be your friend. That was the problem. You were really flaky. I don't know, but it just makes me feel really bad for him that he is being so pathetic. I don't know. It just doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah, about having to be the one to be no, having to seem more standoffish than you usually are because he's just not getting the message.
Yeah, my desire at this point would be to be friendly with him, where I could have a conversation with him and at work when I do see him and things wouldn't be painful. And I wouldn't want to throw up every time I saw his car in the friggin' parking lot because I was like, oh God, I'm going to have to deal with it. Whatever, however he's interpreting this interaction. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm 97% sure the reason he texted me was because I had to ask him a question at work about what one of the combinations on one of the combination locks was. Like, pretty sure that's the whole reason. Because I had to go find him and ask him because he's the one who knew. And I think that's what he was like. She probably wants to hang out with me because she needed to know that. Like, that's I don't know. It just makes me feel bad. So there's that.
It's like double the emotional labor.
Yeah, and so I'm just done with that. What else? Oh, I have another thing to bring you up to date with. So you guys remember Sushi Date and how I was like, oh yeah, I think that went really well. I was wrong about that. I mean, he ghosted me. Like, there's no way to work around that.
Sugarcoat it.
Yeah, he ghosted me. So, the last Minisode that we recorded when I was like, oh yeah, things went well. That was on the Saturday morning. Like, we had gone out the Friday. That was a Saturday morning. We recorded this. Or that one. And by like 3 or 4, I was like, I'm not going to hear from this boy. Like, because he had been texting me every day before that for the week prior. And I was like, he's not going to. But at that, I was like, I don't know. Maybe he's trying to like play it a little bit cool. Maybe he realized he seemed a little overeager last night and like he's trying to take a step back. So I texted him that evening. It was like 7:45-ish. I texted him and I was like, hey, how was your day? And then I never heard from him, which I was upset about for like probably like 2 hours maybe. But the good news is that t-shirt. Well, the good news is that t-shirt texted me. Well, I got a distraction.
Distracted you.
Yeah. T-shirt distracted me like a couple hours later. So I like
distracted
was like,
you with rage.
Yeah. No time for like feeling dejected. We must be angry now. And that fixed it. And I've not been upset about it. In all honesty, he saved me like from myself because I was just gonna play chicken with the red flags until something came to a head. Like, I knew it wasn't long term. I just thought he was something fun that I could kill time with because I had a good time with him. That said, I've explained it to myself in a way that makes me feel better. So I'm gonna tell you my justification, and I need you to not tell me I'm wrong. Okay?
All right, I will be quiet.
Well, okay, I actually do want like your opinion, but I want you to overall agree with me.
That sounds good. I usually do.
Okay? Thank you. Thank you. There are times when I don't want you to be a yes man, but this is involving my self-esteem, so I need that. So he was being like overly. Well, first off, he was being like overly excited about like the future when we went out on that date, like to the point where I was like, oh, I'm going to have to pump the brakes on this at some point. He talked about me meeting his mom. He talked about, next. Yeah. He talked about me competing with his mother's cooking because he was like, don't worry, mom makes better chicken and dumplings and you can bake. And I was like, all right, whatevs. I don't know how to make chicken and dumplings very well anyway, like at all. Like, anyway, but that's not one of my dishes in my wheelhouse, but cool. Your mom's probably great. And then he was like, oh, we can take a trip to Savannah. And I was like, oh, dude, I met you like an hour ago. But like,
he was having a manic episode, like making a lot of future plans and like not following through with them.
So that's why I'm really confused about how I read this so wrong. Because he was the one being like, oh, next time, oh, when this happens. And I was like, alrighty then. But I think he was also being like really self-deprecating. Like he was like, he doesn't have a college degree, and he was like, what's a girl like you doing with a guy like me? And I was kind of like, I don't know. You're kind of cute. You're tall. You smell good. Like,
that's the pheromones.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, anyway. And then, like, I didn't say this before, but he, like, weighed himself at my house. And
which is so odd to me.
Yeah. He was like, is your scale right? And I was like, I think so. And he was like, oh, I used to weigh 185 in high school. And I wanted to be like, baby, you're 26. Like, you should have gained some weight since high school. I mean, who hasn't? And he was like, yeah, I played football. And I was like, which, I got, your girl's got a type. But like,
Catholic in football.
This boy wasn't Catholic.
Oh, interesting.
They went to a different church. But he wasn't we talked about this. We talked about his religious practices. His family has been going to a non-denominational church, but he just can't get into it. And he feels like he should get back in church. We talked about that. Whatever. Never going to see him again. Weird times. Not a bad time. Overall, very weird time. But since he was being so self-deprecating about that stuff, I convinced myself. I'm like, he probably scared himself off. Like, that's what...
Thinking he wasn't good enough.
Said. Yeah, he's like, oh, I shouldn't mess with her. Like, I'm not good enough. Which, like, not true, but also...
Not true for the reasons he's thinking of.
Yes.
But for other red flag reasons that he thinks aren't a problem.
Yeah. The fact that you don't have a degree doesn't matter to me. He's got a great financial situation, and I don't think he's stupid. But the fact that you were, like, freaking out about your ex before we even got to dinner, that's why we wouldn't work. But whatever. I don't know what happened. He could have just been lying the whole time. He could have just not meant a thing he said. And just wanted to hook up, which, congrats.
Like, you did it.
Yay, you won. Bye.
Most tepid fanfare for that.
Yeah, so, easy come, easy go. No, he is no more. I guess I was wrong. He didn't really need a nickname. But there's that. Sarah, what's going on with you? Tell me about your boys. What happened to that guy who probably needs a therapist?
So, funny story, he also ghosted me.
Really?
But I wasn't, like, I let it happen. Like, the thing is, if I kept messaging him first, he would have kept responding.
So it's like a fizzle, not a ghost.
Yeah, it was like a fizzle. So, we had talked for, like, the week before the date.
I'm surprised, though.
We went on the date. Immediately after the date, like 1 hour after the date or so, he texted me and said that he had a good time. And so we kept talking for like the 1 to 2 weeks after the date. Like, we talked every day. But every other day, I feel like I'd get another red flag that like, I don't know, he didn't seem to be in like a super great emotional spot. And B, he seemed incredibly hung up on his ex, who is now a professional basketball player in Poland.
Hold on.
In Poland.
What?
He was like, I won't be seeing her again. And I was like, I don't think that's the problem,
first
babe.
off, good. But like, that's so left field. That makes me think of New Girl, when Winston was a professional basketball player in Latvia or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that part was interesting because he was drunk texting me and...
Healthy, good.
Yeah, I know. And it wasn't the first time. And he was just talking about all this random stuff. And at the beginning of the conversation, he had said something like, we don't need no women because his good friend had just gotten dumped. And I was like, oh, I'll take my graceful accent then. And he eventually responded and was like, no, you're really cool. I was just joking. And I was like...
You're like, I still be women, though.
I know. I was like, I still be a woman. And I was kind of like, okay. And then he said, like, fuck this local university. And I was like, oh, why? Thinking naively that because he did sports, they were, like, rivals in sports. And he was just like, nah, my ex went there. And I was like,
I'm like, oh dude.
I was like, yikes. That sucks. I guess that you hate the whole university now. And like, he kept trying to seem like he was like, oh no, I'm over it, it's fine. And then he like sent this long text where he's like, I just don't understand how you could wake up one day and like not love someone anymore and like all of this stuff. And I was like, yeah, you don't seem like you're over it, babes. And
then like, he ghosted you.
And he had said something else like, oh no, I'm fine, like, I deserve more. And I was like, yeah, you do. And like all this stuff. And I was just like, basically just reaffirming him. I'm like, yep, sounds good. Yep, you do. And then he went to bed. And the next morning I texted him first again. And I said, like the night before I had texted him first, and this day I texted him first and I asked how he was feeling and if he was like, okay. And
feels reasonable.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, like, and then he just told me what he was doing. And I responded and I was like, oh, sounds like you're having a fun time, or like, always sounds like a good time, whatever he said. And then he didn't respond to that. And because he didn't respond to that, I was like, I don't really need to follow up with this. And then the next day I was like, I could text him first again and he would probably respond. But
yeah, but he's like, not putting forth any effort.
Yeah, for less
for
effort.
What reward? What are you chasing?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, we might have gone on another date, maybe.
He did.
make fun of me for how I acted on the first one eventually. Like, I guess he got comfortable enough talking with me that he
I would hope at that point
could make fun of me. Because I guess, and I do this, I know that I'm doing it, but I get a little bit more, not standoffish necessarily, but I'm like, oh, wow, like, that's the time? Like, I should probably get going. I'll call an Uber for myself. And, like, I just, like, head out when I'm feeling, like, awkward. And so, or, like, I just dip out. Like, I remember when I was on a date in high school and this guy leaned in to kiss me and I just kind of, like, swerved out of there. And I was like, I gotta go, bye! And I just, like, went to my car. But, so, like, that, I kind of acted like that. And he, like, had made jokes about that. And I was like, well, we can maybe go on a second date and, like, see if there's literally anything there, because I wasn't sure if there was any chemistry at all.
Well, you called him a quote flame douser.
Yeah, he was a flame douser. He had
multiple... I don't know why you were still talking.
I don't know. I think in some degree I kind of felt bad for him, and I kind of wanted to be his friend because he reminded me so much of my other friend. I was like, oh, like he's going through something, and I kind of just want to be his friend and like talk him through it and like make him feel better. And then in my head I'm like, I shouldn't be having to do all this emotional labor and assistance for this person I barely know. But yeah, no. So and then we just haven't talked. Yeah, we just haven't talked in like a week and a half. So we're just done now. It's just over.
So I have another thing. I heard this from you, so I know it's true. I heard that you downloaded Bumble.
I did. And you know what I realized when I did that was that I apparently had an account like 2 years ago for like...
So you lied on our dating
I did. I completely forgot that I had it. I was like caught off guard that I had all these pictures and a bio and all this stuff already sorted. And I was like, who is she? But I think I had it for like a week of winter break, I think. In like 2016 or 2017, like a very long time ago. So I took out all those pictures and I updated all the pictures.
That's good of you.
Yeah, to be more recent. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and so I've been using it. I'm not very good at it because I let most of my matches expire. I think I'm just because I've been using Tinder exclusively for so long, I keep in my head thinking, oh, like, I can just come back to this match later. Like, it's so, like, simple to just message them later or wait for them to message me. And then I, like, will check back in 2 days and be like, everyone's gray. Why is everyone gray?
I do them in batches. So, like, I'll swipe, and then I'll go through and I'll message them all the same thing.
Oh, I did that. I've been taking Claire's... I asked her specifically for her pickup line, and I've been copying and pasting it to like matches that are about to expire.
Line. I would call it an icebreaker.
Yeah, an icebreaker. So I've been sending every time a match is about to expire, I send the icebreaker that Claire sent, and I feel bad because I usually respond the same generic response to whatever they send.
No, that's fine. You're talking to a different dude. You can reply the same response.
Yeah, no, I'm like, oh, interesting combo, but like two solid choices because it's asking about two different ice cream flavors.
We talk about this somewhere.
Yeah, and so I send like for the first like 2 to 3 messages I send the same generic responses to everybody, and then it usually delves into like other topics or like other conversations, and they're like, so what's up, and it just goes different directions.
What answers have you been getting? Because I lately, literally the last 3 guys were all 3 vanilla and mint chocolate chip.
Let's see, I got a strawberry peanut butter chocolate, like one of them was like super chocolatey death by chocolate one. Let's see. I think I got a mint chocolate chip. It's all been a lot of different ones, actually. So it's been a lot of different ones.
Good for you. Anything else on Bumble?
Not really. Just that I'm really bad at it. Like, as we're saying this, I'm realizing that I think some of my matches are about to expire.
All right. Well, I think that's all to bring up to date. And I do have a couple questions that were left over from the last time we asked for questions and then straight up didn't answer them. So are you ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Okay, this one is directed just at you, Sarah, because I don't really know what this means at all. It says, remember when Mara caught you and Abby on the couch and thought y'all were having sex, but Abby was just trying to get a pee?
Yes, I do remember this. Thank you.
Care to elaborate?
Our devoted follower and commenter and listener who has sent this in particular.
You could probably say their name because they
Jaleel.
Jaleel, yeah.
They comment on it.
Shout out.
So thank you for bringing this up. One of my most beloved memories from senior year of college. So Abby and I often get mistaken.
Well,
for
explain who these people are, because people don't
Okay.
know who Abby and.
So Abby is one of my best friends. We went to the same middle and high school, and then we went to USC together, and we lived together. And senior year, we actually did not live together, and she lived in a like on campus like apartment type deal with 4 other roommates, I believe. And so we mainly hung out when we were at her place with all of her other roommates and stuff. And we often got, and still do, by different groups, not just this friend group in particular, but different groups. My family thought we were like engaged. Abby and I are often mistaken for a lesbian couple. Yeah, so there's that. And so they had been as soon as they met me and like they saw us interact and like just hang out all the time together, they started making jokes about us being lesbians together. And
to clarify, y'all are not involved.
Oh yeah, we have I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Oh good, I didn't think we were gonna get a Bill Clinton impression.
We have never been involved. We are just best friends from high school. And so yeah, and Abby, I'm pretty sure, I'm not even entirely sure this is how it happened, but I like to think Abby always instigates our fights. And I'm pretty sure she like, I had said something to her or done something to probably provoke this, but she threw a pea from her dinner or like her dish at me, and it landed on the couch. And she was like, oh, like I can't just leave food in the couch. And I was sitting on the couch and I was like, well, I'm not moving. And just being a lazy son of a bitch. And so she was basically climbing like on top of me and moving me all around to look for this one pea that she had thrown at me. And her roommate walks in and is just like, what's happening? And Abby's like, I'm searching for a pea. And she was like, oh, that's what the kids are calling it nowadays. And so, yeah, so that's what happened.
All right. Because I was like, I don't know what that means. And then this question is directed at both of us. And it says, would you rather have your fave TV show run forever or quit early with a really good ending?
That's pretty simple for me. I would like it to quit early with a really good ending. I know that I get upset sometimes because I feel like really good shows get cut off too early, like Pushing Daisies. I'm still mad all of these, like a decade later at least, that it only had as many seasons as it did. But I think shows that like they know the end is coming so they can prepare for it in the writing. Or like they have like a set, like, oh, we know it's only going to be like 3 or 4 seasons. Like it's going to be this length and we're going to plan it and they're going to have a great ending. I think that's better than shows, not going to name names, Supernatural, that go on for like 14, 15 seasons.
I watched 10 seasons and it got too convoluted and I'm like, it's still on.
When the apocalypse happens that many times, or like the end of the world, or like these huge things can only happen, like you can only have so many villains and like all of these things go on for so long before it just gets too convoluted and too repetitive and too blah.
Nope, I agree. We are in consensus. I like a nice story and I like an ending. I don't like ambiguity. I don't like things going on and on and on forever. At T-shirt. Listen to that. But no, I like a nice wrap up on things. And you know what? With that philosophy, I think we're going to end the podcast here because that's all we got.
Let's wrap up on this bitch.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anecdotes, recipes, song requests, love letters, if you want to be a guest, anything. If you have a topic you want us to talk about, send us a DM. We're on Instagram and Twitter at The Lonely Sluts. We also have a Gmail, thelonelysluts@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.